Hello friends, I am so excited to share this video with you. It's based on one of my favorite books, a book that I recommend to nearly everyone. And yeah, I basically reread it recently and I've pulled 3 lessons that you can apply to your online business and life in general really from this book. Now, first of all, first things first, it's dark outside, I'm indoors and I'm wearing sunglasses. Now, the other day I was in the sauna, something's gone on with my eyes. I look like a mixture of being really, really stoned and pink eye. So the glasses are staying on, whether you like it or not. So let's just get that out of the way. Okay, so this is all based on the book Way of the Superior Man. Okay, Way of the Superior Man. And we're going to call this video Way of the Superior Creator. Now, if you haven't read this book, I highly, highly recommend you read this book. Now, this video is for guys and girls. I know this book is called Way of the Superior Man, and the book is designed as a guide for men. But I wanted to make it really, really clear, if you're a girl, a woman watching this video, this book is really, really powerful for you to read. Because if you understand this book, you understand kind of the male psyche. You understand how us guys work. Those moments when you're like, why is he doing that? Why hasn't he given me any attention? I've not done this and I wanted him to do this. Why hasn't he done that? It will help you understand what your guy might be going through. And the same with guys, it really helps educate you on kind of the female psyche and how women are much more magical creatures than us and really feel emotions in a much deeper way than us guys could ever really understand. So it's a great book for both genders. I really mean that. It's a great book for both genders. Girls, you should read this and you should get this grasp of understanding how your guy works. And guys, I mean, this is one of those books. I picked this up, must have been 7 years ago now. It was my first year into teaching, or the year before I got into teaching. And it's one of those books where every page you read and it just resonates. It's like, yeah, that's true. That is true. Every guy who reads this book has the same response. It's a must read for any guy. Now, guys, one of the things you could definitely do, I would recommend reading this a minimum of 2 times a year. Get the audiobook or the physical book. Once you've read the physical book, give it away to a friend or buy 3 copies of this and give it to your friends. You want to be giving this book to your friends and you want to be holding each other to the standards set in this book. Now, this book isn't about, being just a masculine jerk. This book is about really understanding the masculine and feminine energy inside all of us, and how to honor it in the opposite sex as well, and how to really understand the opposite sex in a way that respects and honors their femininity, okay? And for girls, in a way that honors and respects guys' masculinity, because you have to have opposites to attract. Opposites attract, okay? So you can't have too masculine, and this is the same for kind of gay relationships as well. You don't see too masculine. You always, for a relationship to be successful, you have to have those opposite poles. You have to have the feminine and the masculine, and that's what causes attraction. Okay, now guys, like I said, you've got to read this book and you've got to read it twice a year. The audiobook is also great. It's a guy called Cecil who reads it, and he's got the deepest voice like this, and it's just awesome. You can read it in like 3 hours. It's brilliant. Now, I also wanted to say, and I want to be transparent, I haven't read this myself, but some girls who I've talked to who I really, really respect and admire and have a deep understanding of their kind of own femininity, and they understand masculinity as well. And it's on my list to read. It's called Women Who Run With Wolves. And I believe it's kind of like the opposite, the polar to this book. It's kind of almost like the guide to women to understand their own femininity and how to express that towards men as well, and towards the world, and how to honor that. So I think the same, me saying girls read this book to understand guys, it's definitely on my list to read this book to deeper understand how females operate internally as well. So there's the book. Make sure you gift it all to your friends. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. Okay, so that's the intro. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take 3 lessons from rereading that book and sort of how you can apply them to your creative business, your personal brand, anything that you have online, how you can use these concepts of purpose, kind of attraction, human nature in a way, and relationships. Because look, let's be honest, everything is relationships. Everything is relationships. I often say it's never B2B, business to business, or it's never business to customer. It's P2P. It's always person to person. Whatever transaction happens, doesn't matter if it's at a high elite level, it's always a person to person transaction or deal that's being made. So relationships, understanding relationships and being able to foster and create long-lasting relationships with mutual respect is one of the highest skills you should be working on developing. Okay, it's always about people. So yeah, like I said, I wanted to take 3 lessons from the book and apply them to your brand, to your business, to any sort of online creative business that you have. So this is a really, really big one. Learn how to release tension to make better decisions. Learn how to release tension to make better decisions. Okay, so recognizing tension. So tension can come in our business from low engagement, decreased sales, maybe feeling stuck, maybe feeling a lack of direction. And the thing is with tension, it's a physical feeling. If you feel tense, you're here. Your jaw stiffens, you're a bit shorter with your breath, you're maybe a bit more rigid. Everything becomes tense. You become maybe more closed up. You feel tension inside of you. Okay, it's a feeling. Now, what we often do when we feel that tension, and guys are particularly guilty of this, and I'm guilty of this. When we feel tension in our life, in a relationship, whatever it is, we tend to think more. Tension needs to be released. It doesn't need more pressure. If there's tension, the last thing we should be doing is giving it more pressure. So let's say you're stuck. Let's say you're trying a content strategy and you thought this was it, or you've repositioned your offer and you're like, right, this is it. I can now charge much more money. It's all going to be working. Everything's going to be rolling in. And you put all of this stuff into it and it's not working and you're confused because you're like, why isn't that working? So you put more and more and more and more in. You're adding tension. You're creating tension. More tension won't solve tension. So we have to release that tension. We have to release that tension, and it's a physical change in us, and it's going to be a change in our business as well. So remember, your business is a reflection of you. It's that famous adage, you don't have a business problem, you have a personal problem. It's just manifesting itself inside of your business. Okay? So we need to release that tension. Now, in life, we might do that. We might do that through some meditation, through exercise, perhaps. Those are some ways that we kind of release that tension. Now, this way of releasing tension works for both business and it works for your personal life in general. So we release tension through gifting, through unique gifting. And unique gifting is the unique skills and talents that you specifically have that you can provide to the world that no one else can provide. We need to do some unique gifting whenever we feel tension. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best ways to get out of a rut. If you're in a rut with your business, which happens to everyone. It's normal, don't worry. It happens to everyone, all of the time. So you have to get good at getting out of it quickly. And one of the best ways to do this is by releasing the tension through unique gifting, okay? So this is how it works. If you are feeling tense in your business, and you can feel it, and you're like, this isn't working, why didn't that work? I tried this, have I wasted money there, what was that? You need to take a step back. And what you need to focus on is, right, how can I give? How can I give right now? How can I give my unique gift? So stop focusing on trying to make it work and this, and I need more revenue this month, whatever it is. Stop, take a step back, and you go, how can I give right now? How can I do something that leans into what my audience or someone in my audience needs? And how can I, with no other ulterior motive at all, apart from just, I'm going to provide some really killer value to this specific person in my audience. And that's why it's really important to know your avatar so you can help them. Lean back into that. How can I just give something that is just so valuable? And lean into that. And maybe you see something on someone's Instagram story that they need a bit of a hand with something, or you can tell that there's something you can help with. Reach out, say, hey, look, I'm really happy to help with this. No problem. And find a way to give. Maybe you see someone in your building or whatever, or someone you know, a family member, something, and you're like, actually, I could help them. Get out of the tension by giving. Get out of the tension by giving your gift, okay? I've tried this. It just works. It's one of the laws of the universe. Get back into that giving. And when you're giving, you're in abundance. Okay, often when we're tense and we're trying to fix something, we're like, this isn't working, it's not working, I don't have, and we're separate from it all. And when we feel separate from something, let's say you feel separate from money, it feels far away. Whereas when you give, what energy is that? I'm already full, all I have to do is give. I'm full, all I have to do is give. You come from a place of abundance, and abundance attracts abundance, okay? That's the very nature of it. Okay, so by giving, you are literally saying, I have everything I need, everything is fine, here you are. I'm overflowing, I have nothing to do but give. Okay, now it's really important it has a pure intention, okay? That you're not thinking like, well, if I give here, maybe I'll get this back. Just, there you are. I'm gonna give, there you are, okay? I promise you it works. Now, when you're doing this, don't hold back on what makes you unique. So if there's a unique problem that you can solve, make sure you lean into that as well. Don't be reckless, I put here as well with, sometimes you need to lean back into kind of more being authentically you, but don't necessarily be reckless and just go way off track with something. Do something that's in line with kind of who you are and your online persona as well, even though that should be authentically you. Obviously, don't just steer off somewhere and be someone completely different. That's confusing and can damage your relationship with the audience. So I thought I'd put that in there. So recognize that perhaps if you are feeling tension as well, and after you've gone through and done some gifting, recognize that perhaps this is a sign or indicator to reassess or innovate something. Maybe it's time to let go of something and it's time to just allow something new to come in. Usually you'll find that just by giving and refocusing on giving, I particularly found this with content. The content that does well is the content where I've gone, I need to give here. I did that bit of content because I thought, that will get views. That's the wrong reason to make a bit of content. And it never does. So the ones where I'm like, that'll get views, it never does. The ones that always do well are the ones where I've been like, this is a really bit of valuable information. I'd love to make a bit of content on that. They always do much better. So it has to come from that place. And I've got an interesting story I'll share in another video about, I batched some content when I was in Bali because I thought I had access to a beautiful studio, and I was like, I'll batch a load of content. And I have actually come to realize that was a mistake. And I'll share that with you in another video. Okay, so that's the first one. Learn how to release tension to make better decisions, okay? And when we get used to we recognize when we feel that tension, we quickly know how to get out of it now, okay? And part of business is that you make better decisions quickly, okay? Make more good decisions quickly, okay? It doesn't matter if you're making a good decision every month. You need to make those good decisions over and over and over again. Quickly. The quicker you can make a good decision, the better. And by understanding how to release this tension, it puts you in a position to make better decisions more quickly, because you know how to get rid of it. Bang, I've made a decision, I can move forward, and your business is going to move forward and progress. Okay, hope you're with me. I hope the sunglasses aren't too distracting. I caught a little view of myself there and I was like, I'm going to do it. Anyway, okay, so number 2, build intimate digital relationships. So a big part of the book, Way of the Superior Man, is really helping guys understand how to connect with your lady, in an intimate way. And one of the things it says in the book is 30 minutes of your undivided and pure attention and presence in the relationship is so much more valuable than 5 or 8 hours of being physically with them but not being present with your partner. Okay, so having that half an hour where it's just, I am present with you. And one of the things that women find most attractive is the depth of masculine presence, the depth of presence you can bring into each moment. That's one of the things that makes you really, really attractive. It doesn't matter about any other looks or anything like this. Something that can make you really attractive as a guy to the opposite sex is your depth of presence and ability to access and stay true to your highest realizations in any given moment and act from that place. So if you can give that depth of presence for half an hour, that is way more valuable than 8 hours of flicking around, sitting on your phone, being with them, but not really being with them. And that's often what causes problems in relationships. And I've experienced this in the past. Believe you me, I've learned a lot of these lessons the hard way. It's often when a girl might say something like, oh, I feel like even though you're spending time with them, and they're like, oh, I feel like you're not really listening to me, or I feel like you're not really, with me, I feel like you've left. Like, it's probably down to you as a guy. It's almost certainly down to you. You as the leader in the relationship, you have to accept that is down to you. And it's a lesson that I've learned. You have to understand that when they are saying that, it's not because they're trying to pick at you and you're like, oh, I was here and we've sat and we've watched TV and how can you say that? And this is how arguments happen. How can you say that? We've just spent the last 5 hours with each other. What they're saying is, I'm not feeling the depth of your presence right now. I'm not feeling the depth of your presence right now, and I miss it. And I miss it. And that comes across in many, many different ways. Okay. So anyway, so how can we build intimate relationships digitally with our audience? Okay. Now, it's not as intense as your relationship with your significant other, but even so, we can take some lessons from that. So digital intimacy. So one of the things is to honor that core group that engage with you in your work. So anyone who's always commenting, always liking, go ahead and really show that you appreciate them. Give back more than they're giving to you. So one of the things I like to do, guys and girls who comment on my posts, and I don't always have time to go through comments. I try to as much as possible, but sometimes, it just gets away from you. Is go back on and reply to the comment, great, but then also go onto their page and check out what they're doing and comment or send them a DM, something that builds that relationship deeply. Okay, now there's a great book called 1,000 Fan Theory, and the whole point of that is you should be focusing on building a really strong, tight-knit relationship with 1,000 people rather than trying to have a loose relationship with like 100,000 people. So I'll give you an example of this in terms of content. And again, this is the depth of relationship, the presence of relationship is more important, the quality is more important than the quantity. So with my content at the moment, I like to really, and look, I've got a very small following in the grand scheme of things, a very, very small following, but I've been able to monetize that following and build trust with people from this following, okay? Whereas you see people with hundreds of thousands of followers and they can't monetize it, and the extent at which you're able to monetize your business is down to the amount of trust that you are able to build with your audience. Okay, that's why numbers don't matter. Okay, I've met people who have like 250,000 followers and they're making like under $1,000 a month, which is crazy when you've got that much attention. So what you want to do is you want to really focus on, you get like day one group and you want to build out from there. Okay, how you treat. So there's a great thing, this is from a book, actually a different book, from Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. How you treat $1 is how you treat all of the dollars. Okay, so for example, with investing and with whatever it is, maybe you're trying to write off some debt. If you think when $1 comes in and you're like, oh well, once I get like $20,000 come in, that's when I'll then invest, once I got that amount in. But you have to be a good custodian of money, and same with this, you have to be a good custodian with your followers and respect each one. So if you treat your core followers really, really well, that's kind of you showcasing that I treat my followers really, really well. If you disrespect them and you just have like, oh, well, great, I got a follower, but I want a new one. These people have clicked follow, they've engaged with you, respect that and honor that. That's how you build a relationship. And you can then monetize, and people value you through what you're delivering, or they value what you're delivering and want to work with you because you honor those relationships, you honor the follow. Okay, doesn't mean you shouldn't be a slave to them. We'll get into that, but honor that core group and give them everything, because if how you treat this one, it then shows a sign that you can be responsible for more. Same with money. I've found this: if you can be responsible with $1, then you can be responsible with 2, and then 10. And then 10,000. Okay, so that's how you treat one of them is how you treat all of them. Okay, so build relationships through DMs, give them more than they give you, reward them, share their stuff, if they tag you, repost them, and don't get an ego. Don't get an ego. When I had a music account, I had a different page. It was a music account. I had a bit of an ego with it. I wouldn't really respond to people. People would say that they love my music and stuff, and send me really nice messages. I'm like, oh yeah. And I'll be honest, I wasn't. I would engage with people, but I barely got back to my DMs apart from like a few people who I was trying to network with. So that's a lesson that I learned. Connect with other creators. Okay, connect with other creators. and aim to give them, so there's this rule of 3, make sure you give them value first, give them value 3 times, never ask for anything, just give value to other creators, tell them that you like what they're doing. If they don't respond, whatever, cool, get on with your life, everyone's busy, whatever, don't take it personally. Okay, but that's a really good thing to do, is connect with other creators in your space and build a bit of community there as well. Now, I've put in close friends, so obviously there's a feature called close friends on Instagram, which you add your close friends to, and you share the stuff that perhaps you wouldn't share more publicly. It's kind of a more intimate relationship. Now, one of the things I'm working on at the moment, and it was a bit of advice, I think I saw it from like a video on TikTok or something, someone shared. The goal will be to try and make as much of your audience as possible feel like close friends, really invite them into your world. Okay, really invite them into your world. Now, this is where the superior man comes in. If you are not a person who is honest, if you are not a person of integrity, if you are not who you say you are, you can't really invite them into your inner world, can you? Because you'll be like, well, I can't invite them into my inner world because they'll find out who I am. So you have to be the person who is almost, you can share any aspect of your life and you're proud of it. You're proud of any aspect of your life, and you're much more vulnerable because you share much more. But if you're proud of every aspect of your life, what have you got to hide? If you're proud of everything that you do, if you're like, like for example, I talk about kind of like routines and stuff, like I don't drink alcohol, I don't watch porn, like all of these things. If I was like saying these things and then doing it, it affects your ability to connect deeply, because people sense that you don't have integrity. Okay, so you have to be who you say you are, and there's a lot of fakers on social media. So you really have to be who you say you are, and treat everyone kind of like that close friends group, and just be proud of everything you're doing, and actually be it, so that there's nothing you don't feel that you can't share. Obviously don't really anything, I don't know, stupid, but you understand what I mean. Anything. Share as much of yourself as you can. Try and treat the whole audience like close friends. And I'm trying to do that and put a lot more of myself into my content, the uniqueness as well, particularly through stories is a nice way to test it. Close friends, build digital intimacy that way. Now remember, relationships require trust. I said this, without trust, there is no relationship. And in your case, you're building a relationship often because you have a service. If you have a service and there is no trust, there's no service and there's no business. Business is relationships are built on trust. That's it. You have to build trust. And again, you build trust by being who you say you are. Okay, so consistency builds trust. One bit of advice I got recently, and I'm going to start doing, I don't know why I didn't do it, haven't done it before, but if you can showcase that you're a consistent person through your content, that builds trust. Now, I train every day. Why am I not recording that? I'm not saying I always do a workout and I do a workout video, but doing something that showcases that you're consistent daily is a really good way to build trust. Okay, so I'm going to start from this point on, just every workout I'll do being like, smashed it, dues paid, smashed it, bang, consistent. Because then over time, anyone who watches my content will be like, right, this person's consistent. And if I'm ever going to invest in someone, I need someone who's consistent. Okay, so doing something like that can be a great way to show your consistency. Also, whatever your content timetable is, stick to that. Staying top of mind, even if your content doesn't always do amazing, just staying top of mind. If you said, I'm going to post 5 days out of a week, make sure you hit it. And people constantly see you and they're like, oh, they're there again. They're serious. Okay, and that builds trust. Okay, you establish a reliable online presence. And remember, when you're, as with any relationship, think about their needs, not just what you want, okay? You have to think about their needs. People will feel that if you don't. Okay, and tough love. Now, you're positioning yourself as a leader, as in relationships as a man, usually the masculine one, not necessarily the man, but the masculine person in the relationship is usually the leader. I know there's a meme going around at the moment of girls being like, oh, I love when I'm with my boyfriend because I can just turn my brain off. And that's great. And girls like that, you have to understand that they're attracted to that man because he's in the masculine in that relationship. They can just relax into their feminine. They can turn their brain off. They can be taken here and this. And that's a real sense of peace and release and attractiveness for a woman. And And that's a gift that a guy can give her by being in his masculine. Now, that girl, the rest of the day, she might be some boss babe. Maybe. She might be in her masculine the rest of the day. But in order for, and again, this is very important to understand that it's not like men are masculine and women are feminine. It's like in a relationship, you have to play those roles for there to be polarity, for there to be connection. But in normal life, so any sort of logical task is a masculine task. Any sort of task that requires emotion and empathy is a feminine task. Guys, you're going to have feminine things where you need to lean into your feminine. Girls, if you are in the world of work, that's a masculine world. Okay, that's not saying guys, men work and women cook. Like, this is why modern feminism is ridiculous, because it doesn't take into account any of this nuance at all. And what modern feminism is doing, interestingly, is building a bunch of really masculine women. And women at their core, if they're spending more time in their masculine than they are their feminine, they're going to become hardened. And you can see that happening at the moment. There's a lot of women kind of entering their, mid to late 30s who are becoming really hardened because they've spent more time in their masculine. Yeah, they've probably made loads of money from, any businesses they've started or, climbed the career ladder. But we have to respect what's kind of deep inside us. Anyway, there's a rant about feminism. So sometimes you need to be tough, okay? Sometimes it's tough love, okay? Your job is sometimes to challenge your audience. You're positioning yourself as a leader, as an expert in whatever it is you're doing. So sometimes you need to be tough. You need to challenge your audience. You need to set a boundary for them so that they can hold themselves to a higher standard. Sometimes you need to push. Sometimes you need to poke. It's not always about being like, oh, you're amazing. You should inspire them, but sometimes that needs to be tough love, just as you would with a kid. Okay, sometimes it needs to be tough love, and you need to engage to build a real sense of trust. If you're someone who just always says everything you do is amazing, you're the best, people don't trust people like that. People are always blowing smoke up someone else's ass? I think that's what it is. But you don't trust if someone's like always nice to you. If I've got a guy friend and like he's only ever nice to me, I'd like my friends to be nice to me, but like if they're always saying positive things about you, and they never challenge you or never push back, you say something, I go, oh, well, have you thought about it like this? If someone challenges me, I trust them more because I know that they are strong enough to hold a point of view, okay, and that they will stand up for what they believe. Now, as the other person, if they're just trying to say things just to kind of lick my ass and will just do whatever I say, I don't trust that person because they have no integrity. So to actually build deeper trust, you need to showcase this tough love. And sometimes you need to poke buttons. Okay, sometimes you need to poke buttons. Like one of the things I think I said on a story the other week or something, I said something like, another great weekend with the lads, sinking pints and watching the big match or something like that. And like I had a few guys sort of gruntle at me. And there was another one, I did a video, it was on YouTube actually, talked about giving up alcohol and how men, we rely on alcohol to express our emotions and that it's not healthy. A lot of guys do that, and that we get our emotions out once a week at the pub, and that's why we're addicted to that emotional release just as much as the alcohol. And I got some fucking hate on YouTube. Some guys who were clearly triggered by that. So, but that's probably planted a seed in their head as well. That's the way I see it. You need to show this tough love. And even if, you're not none of us are perfect, we do get things wrong, but you need to stand up for your principles. You need to be principled, and you need to stick to them. Don't just blow with the wind, okay? You need to have, if you get new information and you were wrong, admit you were wrong and step forward and move forward. But you need to have principles. You need to stick to them. This builds trust, okay? You don't always want to be just being like, you're amazing, okay? Build trust by being tough and having your boundaries and having principles. Okay, that was lesson 2, building intimate digital relationships. Okay, number 3, peeling back the layers of purpose. Now, this is a really interesting one for me and something that I have quite a lot of experience with, and something that I think I've actually done quite well over my life, and it's all thanks to reading this book. This is good. I'm enjoying this video. I hope you're getting some value out of this video. I really appreciate it if you can leave a comment. If you've found anything of value, that really helps. I'm trying to push this channel at the moment, so and continue to do so. So yeah, a comment really, really helps, or anything. Or not, do what you like. I appreciate you anyway. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So this is a really, really big one. peeling the layers of digital purpose, or just peeling the layers of purpose, essentially. Okay. Now, there's this great analogy from Way of the Superior Man, and it gave me a lot of peace when I first read this. Is that purpose is like not just one thing. It's not just like, oh, you came down and were positioned on Earth, and that was your purpose. Okay, like we have layers of purpose. It's not just one thing. We have layers, and we have to peel off each layer. We have a layer of purpose, and once that layer is complete, there's another layer, and then there's another layer. It's like an onion. Okay, layers of purpose. So the thing that could be your purpose now for the next year, in 2 years' time, that might not be your purpose. It might be completely different. So you have to respect that. And here's the key. Don't be afraid to move on. And this is what it says in the book. Once you have the sense that perhaps like a task that you're doing, it almost just seems like pointless and trivial, like something before you were so passionate about and you were pouring everything into it, it just felt like your purpose. And you suddenly have a sense of like, or over time you kind of have this sense of like, this almost feels trivial. Like, I think the example they use is like collecting bottle caps. You could do it, but it's just trivial. Why would you do that? As soon as you get that feeling, you need to find what the next layer is. You've completed that layer of purpose. You need to move to the next layer. Now, people with my background, some people who've known me in the past are often like, how have you kind of moved how you've moved? For me, it makes perfect sense because I've gone through layers of an onion and I'm still going through layers. Who knows in 2-3 years' time where I'll be. Initially, I was, I'll do a short period of an example. I was a teacher. I was a high school teacher, working with kids, working in a very professional environment, wear a tie each day, would speak in a certain way, very professional environment. And from that, I went into the music industry, like this, music industry. And this is another thing we could go into transurfing, but we'll save that for another day. But I learned so much from teaching, and I really, sometimes I kind of, shit on it to make a point of like, 9 to 5 to this. But it's always worth saying there's some amazing people in education. There's some amazing teachers. There's some fucking lazy ones as well, but there's some really hardworking, amazing people. I'm sure when you were at school, you had those teachers where you were like, they've really helped me out here and they've gone above and beyond. And there's some really amazing people like that in education. So just want to make that point. So that was like, teaching for me, I learned so many skills, my communication, my presentation, how to sort of control a room. I can control a room. When the other month I was asked to do a workshop, it was like, 35 adults in the room. Some people would be like, oh, that's nerve-wracking. I was like, yeah, sweet. Because I've done it. Like that was literally all I did for like 3 years, was just every day, just in front of people, basically performing. As a teacher, you get so good at public speaking. So I learned so much from that layer, but then it just wasn't right. I got that feeling. And then it was in the music industry, and I poured everything into the music industry. And then I just got this sense with like the production of music. And I'd connected with some interesting artists. I'm very grateful for my time in the music industry. But I just got this sense. I was like, this is like, people just dance to this. Like, what's the fucking point? Like, and I still love the music, and for me, that music is all about inspiring. I pump it when I'm in the gym, and I love it. I still really respect it and love it. There's some great guys in that scene as well. But for me, I was just like, what's the point in this? Like, it's just, and I got that sense. I was like, it feels trivial again. So I moved on. I was like, right, what's the combination of all these skills? Bang, and now I'm here. So, but here's the thing. Don't be afraid to move on. Don't beat a dead horse, okay? If it's done, it's done. Move on. Same with a relationship, okay? Same with a relationship. If you've got that feeling like, this isn't really working out, I don't like them that much. I've made this mistake in the past as well, where I've stayed with girls longer than I should have done. I knew in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to marry this chick. I don't really enjoy spending time with them. But because the relationship was comfortable, because there was, sex, whatever, it's like, just easy, keep it going. I'm busy at the moment, maybe in a month. One of the lessons I've learned, you have to, as soon as you feel that, you have to act on it. And it's hard, it's tough, because you care about the person. It's not that they're a bad person, it's just you're out. You're on a new layer of purpose, okay? And you just have to let that go. And the quicker you can do it, the better. The longer you wait, the more time you waste, and also, particularly in a relationship sense, it will come back and bite you in the ass, because they will feel that you've removed yourself from the relationship. Okay, so as soon as you do that, for your sake and for their sake, it's over. Same with anything you're working on with your business. Maybe you've got an offer. Like my first offer was like a music production offer. I'm not doing it now. I could have kept doing it, but I'd be really unfulfilled and I wouldn't be living my purpose. Okay, so you have to honor your purpose and you have to let that guide your decisions. And once you feel something becoming not as important, let go and do it as quickly as you can. Rip the band-aid off. It's gonna hurt. Do it honorably. Make sure you tie off any loose ends. Okay, don't just boom, leave a load of people struggling. Okay, tie off any loose ends, make sure everything's done, and move on to your next layer. Okay, now one of the things, I was going to write something in that one. Oh, I think put it all in here. Now, one of the things, this is what I wanted to say. So when you are in between those stages, you're not necessarily going to know. Like, let's say you had your first business, whatever it was, you're not necessarily going to be immediately like, oh, okay, now I've got this perfect new idea and I'll just do that. Okay. A lot of the time, you're going to have to do some inner work. You're going to have to do some reflection, and that is great. Okay. Time and space to reflect is crucial in these periods. Okay. Time and space to reflect is crucial in these periods. Hustle culture will have you believe it's always grind, grind, grind. Okay, that didn't work. Next thing, grind, grind, grind. No. It's so much better, and this will save you so much time. I call it aligned action, and it's following the spark inside you. If you follow that spark, that will usually leads you to purpose. That thing that is that aligned action. And taking aligned action is effortless. Whereas if you try and force things, it's the same. It will create tension, which will have to be released. So it's so important to take some time. If you've moved away from one layer of purpose and you're moving into a new one, take some time and honor that. Take some time and honor that. It might even be a month, 2 months, that's fine. One of the things he talks about in the book is go on a vision quest. And he says, go into the woods by yourself with no food and no books and sit there and chant. sit in the woods and eat no food for as long as you can and sit there and chant. I'm not necessarily saying that that's a good thing to do. Maybe it is. Go for walks. If I'm ever feeling in one of those periods, and I was a couple of years ago, whenever I could get up to the mountains, I was up there all the time, just walking in the mountains. No podcast, nothing. Just walking through the mountains. And it was so important and so valuable, that time for me, on my own, in the mountains. Do that, go out into nature. Now, another thing that I found really helpful, go for a wild card. Like, reading, I do believe, is important for inspiration. But if you're just reading more of the same types of books, that can create tension and that can cause you to kind of get more frustrated again. Choose a wild card. Usually something will just appear. You've heard of a book, or you've had something in your wish list and you've just put it off because it doesn't really make sense to read it or waste the time reading it. Pick a wild card. Pick a wild card book and just read it. Something that seems like it's not relevant at all. This can really sometimes help trigger and spark you off in a particular direction and help put pieces together, or at least move your mind into a new way of thinking about things. So I find this really helpful. A book that I read, which was awesome, and I got so into it. It's called, there's two, is Secret History of the Earth and Sacred History of the Earth by a guy called Jonathan Black. And basically he talks about how artwork and history and how he's got as close to as many secret societies as possible without actually being initiated himself. So he's like, because once you're in a secret society, you can't talk about it, but he's kind of got as close to like some really high Freemasons and all this stuff. And he's pieced together how artwork over time tells a different story of history. And it's fascinating. It talks about, it references the Bible and all. Beautiful, beautiful book. I read that book, and there's one part in there to do with sort of human consciousness that really helped me understand something else. And that gave me a lot of clear direction. And I wasn't searching for it, but it was in that book, and it kind of unlocked that next layer for me. So pick a wild card. Sometimes pick a wacky choice in book and just read that book, and that can be really, really helpful. Also, if you kind of our layers of purpose, it's not. Sometimes it's because we've completed one layer of purpose because we needed to learn a certain lesson. Okay, and we'll keep experiencing that kind of problem until we learn that lesson. So sometimes you need to grow a new limb, or you need to be stretched in a certain way. So sometimes a purpose can be like a short-lived thing, and it's like a skill you need to develop, and you're given the opportunity to develop that skill. So honor that as well. It's not always like, okay, well, this was my 2 years of purpose and now another 2 years. Sometimes it's like 2 months. okay, 2 months, there's a limb that needs to grow, or something needs stretching, or I need to work on this area, and it will be kind of a quick layer. So it's not always kind of like regimented lengths. That's kind of how I see it. And like I said, aligned action, follow the spark. The thing that sparks your interest, follow that, okay? That's not follow dopamine. That's not like, oh, I'd love to watch porn right now. It's follow the thing that really kind of sets your heart on fire, and really try and align with that as much as possible throughout the day. And that's when you're taking aligned action. And when you take aligned action, everything becomes effortless. Okay, so I meant to put some of that in there. Okay, last one. I'm going to do a bit of a quick fire round of some other points I made. These were the 3 main ones that I wanted to go over and kind of give in detail, but I also made some other points of some that I think are quite good from the book. And if you've read the book, you might recognize where some of these come from. So another one is masculine and feminine in digital marketing. So you need to balance being assertive, masculine, okay, with being empathetic with your audience. So feminine energy, as we spoke about before, feminine energy, the nurturing, mothering energy, it's much more empathetic. Now, if you're just one or the other, unless you're David Goggins or Jocko Willink, okay, it's good, particularly for these types of offers that you're likely creating, where you're going to be coaching someone, or you're going to be working closely with clients. They need to see that, yes, you're masculine, you're assertive, and it's like, right, yes, we'll do this. But also they need to feel that you're empathetic and you're flexible, and you can understand their problems, and you'll sit with their problems, and you won't just be like, no, that's nonsense, don't do it like that, do it like this, because that doesn't help someone. You need to sit with them and really understand and find the root of the problem, which girls are often much better at doing. And that's that whole thing as well, where guys, if your girl's got a problem and you kind of go, right, would you like help solving this, or would you just like to talk about it? And usually girls will just want to talk about it, and once they've kind of released everything, they've released that energy or their emotion, they feel better. Whereas guys, we're like, all right, well, let's make a plan and we can do it like this. And if a girl comes to you with a problem and you're like, oh, okay, well, the problem is you did that, you shouldn't do that again, here's this, let's make a framework. They're like, just listen to me. And that's often a conflict point in relationships. Okay, so with your marketing, with your content, balance both, okay? Assertive stuff, do this works, this, with also the empathetic, hey, look, it's not your fault if you've been kind of sold this in the past and it didn't work. Balance both, okay? We all have both inside us, so balance it in your content. Harnessing energy for growth. What did I put here? So use the drive, masculine energy, to grow your platform while understanding and catering to your needs. Okay, so it was a similar thing, but also, yeah, your masculine drive and kind of discipline, use that to pump out as much content, all this sort of stuff. So really harness that for growth. Lean into any competitive advantage you have, and don't be ashamed of it. Be unashamed of it. So for example, one of the strengths I have a background through uni. I just had to do quite a bit of video editing. I don't know why. I wouldn't call myself a video editor by any means, but through kind of the industries I've been in, I know how to work my way around most softwares. I'm very capable in music production softwares. I have an ear and eye for these things because I've developed it over time. So in terms of presenting myself on social media, I'm lucky that I can probably make myself content that is kind of a level above a lot of people. And I've always enjoyed this. I've always enjoyed just tinkering around with programs. I love like computer programs. I always loved making sounds. I just enjoy tinkering around with programs. And sometimes, like same with like AI and stuff, sometimes I'll spend, I'm not necessarily proud of this, but sometimes I'll spend a Saturday evening and I'll have like a 4-hour conversation with ChatGPT and just trying to learn about it, trying to break it. And that really gets me going. Now, something I've realized recently is I need to lean into those strengths and not be ashamed of it, because it's going to give me a competitive advantage. Other people are going to be leaning into their strengths, so you lean into yours. Don't be ashamed of leaning into your strengths. It's dog eat dog out there. You have competition. It is the marketplace after all. So like I said, video editing for me. Now, one of the ways to kind of negate this or to deal with this effectively is when you are leaning into your purpose, that it's very likely that your purpose is an accumulation of kind of all of your skills. So when you are acting on purpose, it's likely that you do have that competitive edge because you're bringing everything behind you. You're not trying to be someone else. You're just trying to be purely you. So that gives you the competitive edge as well, because no one can beat you at being you. Only you can. Think of how unique and vast our life experiences are. Okay, and all the wisdom you bring from that. No one can beat you at that game, and also you can't beat anyone else at their game. So don't try and be anyone else. Okay, so lastly, stay digitally centered. Okay, so this is a more masculine one. Okay, don't get caught up in the emotion of high and low view counts, for example. So a video you thought was going to do well, didn't, whatever. Whatever your best plan of action is at the time, stick to it. If your plan of action needs to change, that's another message. But whatever your plan of action is, stick to it and take action on it. And like, if something's low views for a few days, keep going. Don't be like, oh, everything's the worst and everyone hates me. No one saw it. It happens all the time. Okay, just keep being stubborn, doing it. Okay, and use feedback, analytics, and reflect on data to stay grounded. Okay, that's important. Okay, don't go off your feeling, oh, like this is all great and I'm working really hard because everything feels good. When you feel bad, you need to do exactly the same thing you need to do as when you feel good as well. Okay, so use feedback, analytics, and data to stay grounded. Okay, so sometimes I've put out an ad where I've been like, that's a great ad. Looking at the data, it's not. Okay, so I need to change it. Even though I'm like, oh, I'm really proud of that and this, and I've got the editor to do this. Nope, it's not working. Get rid of it. Next one in. Okay, and this is another one as well. Be both your biggest support and harshest critic. Okay, both can be true. Okay, you need to be your biggest support and encourage yourself because well done, you're taking action towards your purpose, and that is the most commendable thing you could ever do. And you need to big yourself up. Also, you need to be your harshest critic. Where can you go? Where can you go better? Where can you dig deeper? What can you put more into? What can you lean into further? You need to be both. I know it's a contradiction, but I'm a big believer that we need to be walking contradictions. Okay, you need to be both. You need to be a walking contradiction, your biggest supporter of yourself and also your harshest critic of yourself at the same time. So I've enjoyed this. I really love this book. And like I said, give it to your friends, particularly if you're a guy, give it to your friends. It's a brilliant book. And yeah, one I'll continue to read throughout my life. Every time I pick it up, I learn something new. So I appreciate you. I hope that has been helpful. I'm going to link to another video with how to actually monetize your personal brand. I've just finished scripting it. I'm actually recording it tomorrow at time of recording, but depending when you watch this video, it should be up. So I'm going to link to that. It's how to actually build your personal brand, monetize it with not focused necessarily on followers. We want to grow an audience, but how to monetize it with what you've got, and really how to build how to build a business that leans into your purpose. Because this is what I found, and this is what the message I really want to get across, is when you lean into your purpose, everything just becomes easier. If you're trying to copy other guys and you see someone doing something on the online space, yes, there's certain methods that work, but once you can lean into what makes you uniquely you, like we said, you have no competition. And that's the trick. Okay, so yeah, there'll be a video about that should be linked. I appreciate you wherever you are in the world. I hope you are thriving, and I will catch up with you soon.